All right, let's dive in. So of course it's the first week and it's a very short portion of that week being we have stats from December 1st to the 6th. So as always, you should have all received your social media graphics to be able to go out and share. Looking at each location, I'm going to go through these fairly quickly because there's just not a lot of data being the first week. The biggest thing that I noticed in Owensboro is the days on market took a huge jump up. Don't think that'll hold true. It had a couple of closings that a couple of those properties that closed had over 200 days on the market. But we are starting to see also that inventory is going down in the Owensboro market. And this is true for most of the markets. I believe, if I remember correctly, E-Town being the exception to that. Everything else is kind of what we expect to see in regards to 1 week in December. Again, E-Town, again, a big days on market jump there. So interesting to see how true that holds.
I didn't know if you didn't know we can't see anything.
No, I didn't. I would love to, but there's some button here that won't let me go back. Let me try something different. How do I move this? Go away. Don't know how to move this thing away.
What are you doing?
I'm just trying to get this to go away because I don't know what it is. I think that's the right one.
No, I think it's training. That's the front one.
Yeah, it's not on here.
Can you just pick one of those training? Okay, we got one on.
There. All right. Why does it look so weird? Okay, there we go. All right, now I got to find my PowerPoint. So bear with me because the whole computer just shut down for a second. All right, now I think we're back. Let me make sure we're sharing screens. Nope. All right. Now we're back. Okay, so part 2, starting over. Which picture did you need, Denise?
Owensboro stats.
This one?
How'd you that?
Did you get it? Okay. So back to where we were before the computer issues. E-Town, like I said, big days on market jump, same as Owensboro. I think that's really just about a couple of listings that closed that have been sitting on the market for a little while. We did see an increase in inventory in E-Town, so that's just something worth noting where most of the markets typically start to go down around this time due to seasonality. We did see that increase. In Evansville, everything's staying about the same in regards to days on market, prices, and things like that. Again, you can see a slight little dip in inventory, which is to be expected. And I actually expect that to continue to go down over the course of the next month and then start to pick back up in January. Looking at the Henderson market, again, kind of the same things. Everything's staying about the same. Slight dip in inventory, not a huge dip. Just really those listings that sold, not a lot getting back on the market. So a lot of the same stories in various locations. And then in Louisville, days on market did take a big jump down, which means for those of you who actually sell in the Louisville market, if you list something, pretty good chance you're going to get it under contract pretty quick. Keep in mind that their days on market is just from active to pending. That does not count financing days. And their inventory basically stayed about the same, went down ever so slightly as well. So we expect them to stick around the 3 months worth of inventory. So those are the, Denise, you keep jumping in there. Okay. So the so market stats, again, we'll have more information on that coming up in the couple weeks as we see how the first few weeks in December play out. In regards to mortgage rates, so for last week, did get a little bit of a break, 6.88, 6.22 for FHA and VA, and then those numbers have actually gone down since then. So FYI, get your cameras ready. You're probably going to want to screenshot this and send that out because you can see the mortgage rates did take a drop down. And actually, these are up slightly. As of, I think it was 2 days ago, I looked, the FHA and VA was sitting right at 6 even. So good news here is that interest rates are trending down. Of course, now we're dealing with holidays and things like that as well. They go back on the, I think it's 16th and 17th.
Oh.
Something like that. Yeah.
They'll probably dip a little bit.
They were saying.
Yeah, well,
no lower than 5s all through this.
Yeah,
next
for
year.
yeah, it'll be into 2026 before we really. I don't think we'll see in the on a conventional. You might not see into the 5s until late next year.
Even ever in a way,
Yeah, you probably won't. 5's a really good rate. Like if we get to 5 on no matter what the loan type is, like people need to start buying because you're not going to get. It would take something so tragic happening like a pandemic or a world war or something like that for it to get below 4 again. Like we almost don't want that to happen because that means something bad really happened. Yeah.
Conversation to bring up when you hear someone saying, no, I'm just going to wait for the rates to drop. It's like, how big of a drop are you waiting for?
Yes.
Asking more questions.
Because if you were waiting for that, you're waiting for a world war or another pandemic.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah. Would you, and and part of that is like, yeah, that's a great one. Yeah. And part of it is saying, are you willing to wait 10 years? Because this might not ever happen.
But 4% appreciation.
Yeah.
Well, that and all the equity that they're missing out, even with by the time they pay it down, plus the depreciation you're talking about, they're missing on. I mean, $200,000 house, they're probably missing out on $10,000-$12,000 a year.
Oh, every bit of it. I mean, if you look at it from that standpoint, so let's just use the $200,000 house at a 4% appreciation. Let's say they're like, oh, I'm gonna wait 3 years, and we'll just use estimated math. So the first year, the house, if at 4% is worth 204. The next year it's worth probably like 208.5 roughly.
208 first year, right?
Yeah. 208.
Yeah.
And then next year is what's 208 times 1.04? Somebody gets a calculator out.
Day times 1.04,
Yeah.
Times 1.04, yeah.
2163.
221. Wait, say what?
2160. $2,163.
Is that what we're looking for?
No, 208,000 times 1.04.
What do you
It's
think?
1.4%,
Oh,
sorry.
no.
Oh. Somebody else?
I'm walking out, sorry, I'll do it again.
Come on, sweetie.
216.
216.
It should be about $9,000 more.
Okay. And then if you do one more year, 216,000 times 1.04.
Oh, yeah.
224.
Like 5 row.
Yeah, it's so if you wait, this is just 3 years down the road, the house is going to be worth 224,000. That same house that's 200,000 now. But to Brad's point, not only do you have that, but you've also paid down 3 years worth of payments, right? So you don't even owe 200 anymore. The first 3 years are very interest heavy, but you're probably like 193, say, for example, and it might be a little higher than that. I mean, you can use 195 just as a safe estimate. And so we're talking a $30,000 difference just by waiting 3 years. So does everybody understand how to arrive at this number? Because this is a really powerful thing to do, like when at a buyer's consultation. Even, and then just so you know, like, looking
I wonder
at,
if you put that like just on a sheet and we add it to a buyer's.
yeah, you could. I mean, if you wanted to, just use like an Excel sheet and multiply it out. You just have to figure out the annual appreciation. 4% is a good estimate. Next year, I'll tell you, it's probably gonna be about 2.5%. So this first year right here would be 2.5%. Then you get back into the law of averages and you're probably around 4% each of these years, depending on what inventory does and stuff like, and interest rates, obviously.
But I do think, I think we're gonna get back to 100+ days on the market.
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
gonna, it's,
That'll probably be here next year.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I'm with Denise, like, why would we, whenever, being a realtor in this kind of market, stress wise is a lot less, like, you're not racing to the punch. Like, it might be harder to get a client, but this is true real estate right now.
Mhm.
This is true, like, skilled agent. But like, we're not racing and then sacrificing our lifestyle because homes are flying off the market.
Yeah, you'll have time to get showings in. You won't have to, like you said, jump the second it hits the market. So good news. And we do expect these to drop. I can't remember who said that earlier, but when they do, Fed is meeting again, everything's saying another 1/4 point reduction. So we should see that and then about Christmas time, see another reduction. Hopefully we can get this conventional down around 6.5 and get the FHA and VA down underneath 6. And then I think it's like go time for all of our buyers. If we can hit that. Okay, for training, just a reminder really quick of your BOIR filing deadline. Don't forget you have until the end of the year if you opened a LLC previously. And any going forward, you'll have, I believe it's 30 days if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 30 days if you form any new LLC. So if you make one after the first, you have 30 days to file that. So Zillow came out with their buyer and seller profile, and it had some really interesting information inside of it. So I read through the whole report. It's like 25, 30 pages or something, and just pulled out some key things just to communicate with you so you understand buyer and seller preferences. So key takeaways is number one, nearly all buyers and sellers work with agents. So 93% of sellers ultimately list with an agent and 85% of buyers ultimately buy through a agent. The 93% is a really important number, especially if you go after for sale by owners. It's good to know that, present that information to them, and it kind of puts them in context of why do you think you're the small percentage that can achieve this on your own? Number two is buyers and sellers hire the first agent they contact. Still holds true. 60% of sellers, 47% of buyers, which means speed to lead, so to speak, is still a thing. It's transitioning to a more skill-based market, and I do expect these numbers to probably go down ever so slightly, but it's always been right around 50%. It's that. So if you can be the first person to talk to somebody, you have the best chance of being able to list the home or work with the buyer. Digital tools benefit both agents and clients. 78% of sellers said they're more likely to hire an agent who uses high resolution photography. 71% said they're more likely to hire someone who provides virtual tours and interactive floor plans. Now, shameless plug, Kevin Dehart can do virtual tours and interactive floor plans. We have one more week of training with that, so you can get in basically free floor plans for the next week. After that, he's going to start charging $100. Still the best deal ever, because Dalton, who does 90% of them around this town, charges like $250 for the same thing, for the same service. So just FYI, in case you want any of your listings done, here's proof that they work.
And I'll say he's done 4 of them for me, and they all look really good.
Yeah, and he's done all of ours and they look good. So yeah, we want to get a couple more under our belt just to make sure the unique things we can handle it and stuff like that. And then he'll be rolling that service out. So FYI, if you have any
So you'll
listings.
send out an email with like what it looks like in a flyer.
Mhm.
Okay.
And we'll send out some links
Are you
to
doing
the.
that on scenes?
Yeah, every single one. And the best part of it is floor plan. Like we get more out of the floor plan than the actual 3D tour. So people just want to see how big are rooms, stuff like that. And it's pretty accurate. We measured one comparable, and it's like it's within a couple inches of all the wall dimensions and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool. And he'll travel wherever he needs to go for those. So number 4, buyers want text messages. So 53% of all buyers prefer text messages over phone calls. And I think this is just the natural tendency of society going. Now, this is after you secured the business, obviously. So this is more like follow up and things like that, like text messages to homes. And then 50% of listing agents, let's see, home prices have increased. Me sellers, I don't remember what this one is. Oh, 50% of listings had a offer fall through, meaning like they received an offer, that offer ended up not closing. And that number's held true for a couple of years in a row now. It's slightly down versus during the peak of the pandemic, but overall it is. So just know that, like, and you might need to create that. That might be a good conversation at the listing appointment. Is the first offer that we get might not necessarily be the best offer, right? Because we got to look at all the terms. How pre-qualified are they? Like the biggest thing is getting to the closing table, not just getting an offer, right? Yeah.
That's a good, thing to put out on a reel.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't expect it to be that high. I thought it to be in the 30s or something percent. Yeah. So notable changes year over year. So first is, the average buyer is now 2 years older than they were last year. 6% less buyers are first time home buyers. So long story short, it's people are a little bit older before they typically buy their first home. The next one is 2% of sellers, had to sell their home quickly, which means time was a bigger factor than money. 8% of sellers took their home off the market at some point during the listing agreement. We're starting to get some requests on that. Me and Kevin were talking about this morning, with people wanting to come off the market for Christmas and the new year. So just be prepared for those conversations as well. I'll tell you this in case this helps you. For one of ours that's very adamant about coming off the market, we're expiring it out on the 22nd. We're doing a non-MLS listing through January 2nd to protect ourselves, make sure somebody else can't come in and grab it or they sell it without us, and then a new listing agreement effective January 2nd. So if you go that true off market period, just get a non-MLS listing to protect yourself. Just wanted to throw that out there. Next is 3% of sellers, 3% more sellers discovered their agent from a referral than the previous year. So this goes to show networking with your sphere of influence is even more impactful this year than it was in past years. 11% of sellers received an offer that waived a inspection. Not 11%. 11% less sellers received an offer that waived inspection. So this goes back, you've heard me talk about this a lot. Like buyers expect homes in better condition now. So as a listing agent, you need to be taking that into consideration when you go on the listing appointment. Look for the deficiency, ask questions for deficiencies, and then try to get those corrected, because if not, you're going to not only have the challenge of getting an offer, but have the challenge of keeping the offer together in the inspection period. 4% more buyers are likely to buy or to view a home that included a floor plan. So back to that conversation we had earlier. If you want floor plans, just get with us. We'll gladly help you out with that. And 16% less sellers also bought a home. So this goes to the motivation factor. And I've seen this a lot. Of every home that I listed and sold, literally like 50% didn't rebuy this year, which is the first time I've ever seen that. And I thought it was flukish to me, but it's actually, looking at market trends, more and more the norm, meaning a lot of people relocating. So maybe they are buying, but they're not buying directly with me. They're buying in another town, something like that. Keep in mind, we can earn referrals, FYI, no matter where you're at. So you can always still make a little bit of money on that side. All right. So this talks about how people hire their agents. The main thing is 23% came from online, 22% came from friends or family. This is, and you can see 23% social network, website or app was 23%, meaning they basically Googled you, found your website or your app and got you there. Social media, 7%, search engine was 7%. That's them actually Googling and finding a link that way. But the biggest is always friends and family at 22%, another agent 5%, or a home builder 4%. So you can see, just based off the Zillow numbers, then you're looking at, what is that? 31% are based on referral, and another 37% are on some form of online or digital. So if you got a good social media presence, we're going to talk about this in a second, but if you got good social media presence and you're talking to your sphere of influence, basically the way I'm interpreting that, you're 60% more likely to actually get some business. So, How agents found their first, this takes a deeper dive into the numbers and looks at the year over year. So again, real estate website and app hit its peak in 2023, ever so slightly down by 2% in 2024. You can see that here. Social network, again, 2023. I think this really has to do with just the number of sales more than anything. Keep in mind, less sales in 2024 than 2023, but you can see they're holding steady there. And then referral is actually going up. Meaning that people want to hear from somebody else who had an experience and knows you and trusts you, loves you, and wants to send your name out there. And you can see there's all kinds of other, smaller percentages, direct mail coming at the smallest at 2%. So just good news or good info, to kind of, when you're doing your business plan, like how am I going to find clients? Take this stuff into consideration. What it ultimately means is, again, talk to your sphere of influence, have an online social presence, right? If you can do those two things, you're going to capture a majority of the buyers. All right. Buyers who hadn't purchased their home and roadblocks. So 3 out of 4 buyers, or 74%, had at least one apprehension of using an agent. Common roadblocks included worrying the agent would be too expensive, that's 32%, or not understanding commissions, 16%. So just know that like almost 50% either don't understand how commissions work or worried commissions are going to be too expensive. However, we know that at least a majority of the time, we're able to get commissions still covered from seller compensation, right? So that's the education point that we need to be educating all of our, just not our clients, the general public on as well, that it's not as expensive as it might sound post NAR changes. Agent social media activity, 44% said they would be more likely to hire somebody with an active social media account. 46% said they don't care. 10% said that if you have social media, they won't use you, right? So then just again,
They
proof.
won't less likely to hire because that's on there.
Yeah, less likely to hire. Basically, yeah. That's actually.
That's what it would be.
Yeah. So they don't agree with you. It's funny because I was listening to a podcast about that yesterday. Yeah, I was listening to a podcast about this yesterday. And it's like, people love orange or they love blue. And they're like adamant about one of those two colors. There you go. There's 40 colors for you. But I didn't mean to do that. But the people who love orange don't love blue. And that's okay. It's the same thing with personalities, right? Like me and Brody might get along really, really great. Me and Kevin might not get along at all. And not that we like clash, but we're just not matching personality types. So understand that everybody's different. We don't have to work with everybody because there's over 4,000 sales a year. Yeah. Seller preferences. So what decided for them to move? Biggest reason people moved was a change in the household or family size. So that can obviously include divorces, that can include new babies, that can include kids going to school, stuff like that. Next highest is 37% for a job transfer. Seeing a lot of that recently. 35% is working remotely more often. 32% retired and are ready to live the good life. 32% are got married, divorced, or separated. Which I don't know if that's included in the 51%. I wouldn't think so. And then 29% was due to job loss or some involuntary unemployment where they could no longer afford the home and needed to make a change. Yeah. So I'm sure some kind of combine together. So if 51%, like if you get divorced, that's going to change your family size. So you would qualify for both categories.
I'm like,
Yes.
Yes, significantly over 100. Yeah. So this goes to how many people did sellers contact when listing a home. So again, for first-time sellers, 64% went with whoever's the first person to show up at the house, 53% if they're a repeat seller. And then you can see roughly 20 to 25% met with 2 agents, 14 to 22% met with 3+ agents. So the overall number, usually you're only going to be meeting with 1 agent. It is really important. This just made me think of this, is always ask the question prior to going to the listing appointment, are you interviewing any other agents for listing the home? You want to know that because that can change your presentation. Number 1, you want to be first. Because if you're first, then you can get them to sign the listing agreement and use the old bold line, which is, hey, I know you got another appointment with Kelly later on, but I'll do you a favor since we're a great fit and we're going to go ahead and work together. If you want to sign the listing agreement, I'll call and cancel with Kelly on your behalf. That way you don't have to be the bad person, right? Usually it's going to go the other way. And she's like, yeah, don't list with Matt, just cancel him. So She's not listening to me, is she? Yeah. Yeah. And then where sellers found their agent, very similar numbers, but just so you can see on the seller side, 22% in 2024 found it from a website or an app. And keep in mind, real estate, I thought I should have said, clarify this. When it says website or app, it's talking actually not our websites and app. It's talking Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, Trulia, all the agitator portals, if you will. Social media, website, app is the agent side. That's 7%, 7% on the search engine. And again, the biggest thing is referrals from friends, family, and neighbors. So again, kind of holds true, have an online presence and also communicate with the people that you know. And then there's really interesting in the community. Look at this, over 10% were knowing them from the community. So not only being a presence online, but being a presence inside of your community and showing up for events and things like that as well. Let's see. So how sellers determine the listing price. 57% came from agents. I wish that number was significantly higher. 45% believe Zestimates are the golden ticket. And I will say Zestimates are getting a lot more accurate. They're still not taking into account the condition of the home a lot of times. Other online valuation tools. These are your home bots, different things like that. 45% of those. Comparable listings where people are actually doing the research comparing to their home sold, only 38%. And appraisers 30%. This will be a really great. So knowing that 30% of people, use, and keep in mind, people are using a combination of multiple things. That's why it adds up to 100, more than 100. But if 30% are consulting with an appraiser, what can we offer that doesn't cost money that could be valuable in place of an appraisal? CMA, right? So just know that, like, I'd be putting that out there. Hey, are you curious what your home's worth? Contact me for a free market analysis that will tell you how much your home's worth and how much equity you have, because people care about equity, especially right now in a tough economy. And then attended open houses and similar to do the comparison approach, and then none of the above. We just pulled a number out of the hats, 3%. I feel like it's way more than 3%, but we'll see. Let's see. Oh, highly important characteristics among sellers who used an agent. 80% was the initial response. And in particular, what was the response time? So even if they know you, trust you, and love you, but you take 2 days to get back to them, you're probably going to lose business. And I actually had one of these phone calls in the last week. A guy called me and said, hey, thinking about buying this investment property. I went through this other agent and it's been a week and they haven't gotten back to me. I don't really know this person. They found me online and they were like, but I know you flip homes. So I'm calling you and I want to see if you want to help me write an offer on this. And he ended up not going after the house, but still, it was all because that agent didn't get back to him in 3 or 4 days, that they went online and found somebody else. Initial impression of the agent or broker being trustworthy. Again, I think a lot of that goes to what are you putting out there to the world, especially in regards to social media. Look through your social media pages and say, what does this say about me? Does it say that I'm a realtor? Meaning like you can easily see that I buy and sell homes, but then B, what's my overall message? And am I coming off as somebody who's trustworthy and somebody that people would want to work with? Or am I coming off a little bit, pardon my French, douchey? Right? Because that happens both ways. And then positive reputation, 75%, local market or neighborhood specific knowledge, 75%, and strong sales history and number of sales. And then you can read through that. But those are the most important things. We got to be responsive and we got to be trustworthy as well. Okay. This goes back to sellers are more likely to hire an agent than, again, high resolution photography being leading number 1, virtual tours and interactive floor plans being number 2. And then negotiating commissions. 51% of sellers negotiated a lower commission. Now, I will caveat this and say that's not true, because probably half of that 51% were agents walking in just voluntarily saying, I will do this for X%, right? So A, know your value. I think that if you really understand this job and understand what all goes into it, there's a whole lot that goes into selling a home. There's a lot more than I got asked the question the other day from another agent. It's like, how much does it cost to list a home? And I was like, well, you got your license, you got your signs, things like that. Like, really, you're looking at a couple $100 for photography. That could be, obviously extensively more if you go video tours and stuff like that. And outside that, you have paid ads and things. And they're like, so we were just having a general like devil's advocate conversation. And he was like, why should I charge so much? I said, well, you're not counting how much your expertise and the training and knowledge you have to price the home, the expertise, training, and knowledge you have to market the home, plus negotiate the home, plus being able to keep deals, plus having the knowledge base of either or somebody in your brokerage knows how to handle unique situations. All of that's worth money, right? So just know that, like, just be strong in your commission because you're worth every dollar that you're charging, no matter what you do charge. What separates sellers from who negotiate from people who do not negotiate? Older people tend to not negotiate, with the median age being 48. 40 people at the age of 40 want to negotiate. Household income matters, and interestingly enough, the more money you make, the more likely they are to negotiate, including the sales price of the home. The more expensive the home, they want to negotiate. I have been getting that a little bit recently. I'm not sure if you all have, but especially on anything that is like, not three, but like $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. I've actually had people call out the dollar amount in listing appointments twice in the last 6 months, which means I walk in, like, what do you charge? For me, I say my percentage. We're putting this on YouTube, so I'm not going to mention percentages, but then they do the math on there. Like, you expect me to pay you X thousand dollars for this. So be prepared, because if I'm getting it on the few appointments that I'm going on, y'all are going to start getting it as well. So just be prepared to overcome that objection and talk actual dollars, not just percentages. And of course, the script to that is flip it to, what do you need to net from this? If I can get you this number, does it really matter on the what I make? And then I can give you more scripts for that if you need it. 61% of people who also bought I don't know if I can go back or not. There we go. 61% people who did not negotiate also bought another home with them and used the same agent. And then the median price on the home that they purchased, again, the little lower did not negotiate, the higher did negotiate. So just be prepared. That's going to continue. I think that my guess is that the NAR stuff has brought so much attention to commissions that people are asking more questions than they used to ask, which is fine. We should always discuss commissions and why we charge what we charge. We just need to be prepared to overcome objections behind it as well. A couple of trainings coming up. We have document compliance and commission input coming up this week, as well as delayed possession agreements are a couple of our contracts and trainings classes. We also have our Christmas parties. So December 17th in Owensboro, and then December 18th in E-Town. These are luncheons. So we are going to have food and do a celebration as part of these. So if you can, go ahead and pencil these in on your calendar and make plans to attend those, because they're always really fun events. And then we have, I don't think I have a slide on it, but we have our planning a really big awards party that's going to include a murder mystery dinner as part of it. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that as well. We also have Bobby's career fair on December 18th. And just as a reminder, for our Elizabethtown or any other locations, doesn't matter the location, anybody can attend these career fairs, and we're kicking off E-Town career fairs in January as well. Broker open tours. I did not pull I didn't pull the graphics, but prior to being kicked offline, I had it pulled up on Facebook. So let me pull that back up real quick. All right. So I know, Barnes Duke does. So Marianne Steele is having one at 1900 Cherokee Drive. That one's from 10 to 12. And then, there it is.
Yeah, Pebble.
Yeah. Then there's the Barnes Group is having theirs at 1613 Walnut Street. Theirs is from 11:30 till 1. Oh, there it is. Also one on Goldenrod Lane. That one's from 10:30 till 12. And I think is that all of them? What did I miss? There's a Jago one too, I think.
Pebblewood,
Yeah, in Pebblewood, there's also one for the new Jago neighborhood as well.